Yeah, I'm going to present something here because I don't actually see anybody addressing this, but you know, I could see what's coming down the road later on. Well, I think I do. I think I do. Things take a hell of a lot longer to progress than you think, but then once that happens, it's like, holy smokes, wow, all kinds of stuff happens. And what I'm talking about is, well, eventually what's gonna happen, there's gonna be aggression from China. I mean, it's pretty much obvious, People wish it away and all this kind of crap, and people are still buying stuff and made in China and whatever the hell's going on. And it's not the Chinese people, it's the Chinese elite. And, all the elitists in the world work together, right? I mean, it's pretty much, or they pretty much work together, but there's intramural contests going on there too, you know what I mean? But one thing that came up recently where, there's all this issue about, Iran, should they have nuclear weapons or whatever, and, yeah, why not, and all this. I don't think they should, but what about Australia having nuclear weapons? That's really what the focus will be on this, because the one thing that is causing China to be aggressive more so is lack of energy. And, right now you think, oh no. But there's a lot of things that happen, over a period of time, and it progresses that way. Australia's Arckaringa Basin, they've actually found so much oil there, confirmed. All these statistics where you see Russia has the most oil and the United States is number 3 or 2, or Canada is, like Russia, Canada, Venezuela, Saudi, I don't know, even Mexico. Well, Mexico, I think Mexico's kind of running out a little bit, but they got quite a bit. But, all these latest studies, when you look up these statistics in a lot of these articles, they leave out Australia. Australia actually has a lot of oil. It's been known for a lot of years. It's a commodity-rich country. But the Arckaringa Basin actually has now 40 times the proven reserves as what they thought Australia had before in its entirety. And a lot of it, not all of it, a lot of it can be extracted fairly cheap at lower prices too. So actually Australia, their proven reserves are basically almost as much as Saudis on paper, but I think Saudis are exaggerating, and actually probably Australia is number 1 in the whole world. Now, being that their locality is close to China, China's looking at, the Spratly Islands off the Philippines. They're looking at those Japanese islands, also off of Taiwan's coast. And because of oil and natural gas resources, it sounds almost crazy today, but there's no limit to what's going to happen. And it's like I said, it's never Chinese people. It's they'll tell the people it's capitalist aggression or what. They always give people a bunch of bullshit. There's a reason for a war and stuff. And the elite are behind a lot of this garbage. They always have been, and there's always elitists. But what I like to see is Australia become a nuclear superpower in its own right, and get rid of their freaking stupid anti-gun laws. Because, actually, if Australians had these 50 cal BMGs and all that other stuff, China would never attempt an invasion on that land if Australia was a superpower. And the thing is, they're going to need this. Japan should be the same way too. They ought to get rid of their stupid gun control laws and have an armed citizenry, because it makes it impossible for a country to be taken over when you have an armed citizenry. Because it's, look at Afghanistan, what happened with the Russians, what happened with even the United States gets bogged down over there. When there's an armed citizenry, even if it's even when you have not even that many people fighting back, it just makes it too difficult to stay in that area. And even if you are in there, it costs you a lot of money. That's the whole deal. Actually, all warfare is about money, pretty much. A lot of it is. And if you just, it's all a matter of, that's, I guess that was one of the reasons they had the, the Barrett 50 cal. They used to say, what the hell you need a freaking weapon like that for? But, they always said, well, You can take out a helicopter with a $3 round, and it costs, so much, or a communications center, or whatever the hell it is. So in other words, if like China tried to invade Australia some years from now, and it's going to come up, the writing's on the wall. I'm going to actually explain a couple other things more, like basic real 101 on religion too, because a lot of this shit fits together very, very, very well. But if China was, say, to invade a country like Japan or Australia, if citizens had the right weaponry, it would be too expensive for China to do anything about it. They would just back off. The whole thing would just destroy them economically, and their own citizens would rise up against their elite, and that would be the end of the whole deal. Because the elite are going to have to watch their back at home, just like anywhere. So an armed citizenry is always, the way around for the best freedom. But Australia should be a superpower. It's almost a super nuclear power. They should be. There's always all this stuff about, should this one have nuclear weapons? And hey, if North Korea's got nuclear weapons, Australia should have loads of nuclear weapons. That's the way I look at it. I never seen a politician say that. I'm not running for office or nothing like that, and I couldn't, because I'd get in trouble right away for saying shit like this. But I'm not. But I'm just saying, as an idea, it should be. It should be that way. And the other thing is, because they got so much oil, China's going to move on them at one point in time. Now, I'm going to tell you this because I've read a lot with Major Anatoliy Golitsyn, the KGB major, defected, I think it was in 1961. And back, when Jim Angleton was head of the CIA, he was like taken very seriously. Then later on, they said he was not taken seriously. Actually, during the Clinton administration, they pretty much pushed him aside. But he was still working with, British intelligence, and even in the Marine Corps, if I understand correctly. But there's like different elements in the military. It's like there's all kinds of stuff going on. Like, I am not aware of a lot of things. I mean, I know a few basic things. But Major Golitsyn used to say, and that our Western intelligence has always been highly, highly infiltrated by KGB, back then, KGB, FSB, and whatever. That's why I almost just thought it was ludicrous when I saw Snowden, go over to Russia. And I'm thinking to myself, who the hell really knows what the deal is with that jerk? Because, he read it out. He said everything stuff about the NSA and stuff like that. But I always keep thinking about the Golitsyn, that, they just couldn't believe what Golitsyn was saying. It was almost like, don't be a hater. Don't freaking you think our intelligence people are that stupid? We got this many moles in our... You probably do, man. And who the hell knows? Maybe even Snowden was. I think the West is very weak. And what is going on is Russia is counting on financial collapse in the West. It's always been the plan for Major Golitsyn, he talked about. And when that happens, that's when you're going to see, because like all these people are talking about, oh yeah, save silver for the reset of the dollar. That's going to be, I hate to say this, but that's going to be the beginning of the problems, because, if there's a reset, if there's a real bad collapse, we're probably going into major conflicts. And, actually right now is the time where countries that would be allies of the United States, like Japan and Australia, should be well armed. Because I think whoever's in office as president is going to be a wishy-washy piece of crap that's not going to back them up. I almost think so. This has always been the case. If you look back during the time when Hitler was invading Germany and stuff like that, what did Roosevelt do about it? Nothing, right? I mean, nobody did any... I mean, if Hitler was invading Poland, Germany. Yeah, he basically invaded Germany by his Reichstag fire. But you know what I'm talking about. The English did, Lord Chamberlain, nobody did nothing. Nobody did nothing. So, I must expect the same kind of deal when, say, China does something. They're going to push it step by step by step. I personally, you know what I think? I would have done this a long time ago. I would have. But, the thing is, the reality of the situation is our Western elite have always been working with the communist elite. The communists, they're looking to push a hybrid capitalist communist system throughout the world. That's what they're looking to do. They've always been working together. There's intramural contests, but they've always been working together, man. It's a bunch of BS. But, you know, right now, I see Australia as being a super prime target for China because of this new discovery of oil. Like, that's the one damn thing China needs, man. Big time. Oil. And Australia's got, I think they got more than Saudi. And so, the only way to stop it, you know what's going to happen. The writing's on the wall. Now, I'm going to give you a little religious thing because, I didn't really learn this, like, I'm Catholic, but I didn't really learn this in Catholic school. I kind of learned it later on. I'm not really religious. If you ever looked at my videos, I am not religious. But it was at the message of Fatima, Portugal, when Mary appeared to the 3 children. She appeared several times. She appeared 6 times, basically. And there's quite a long story about it. But, the thing is, even when the children were threatened with torture and execution, and they told one of the children that the other child was tortured and executed, will you change your story? They did not change their story. So, I always said to myself, this is not something that came from religious leaders as a scam. It came from these children. But the predictions on Fatima said that Russia would be the instrument that would chastise the world for mankind's sins. And I'm like, it almost seems like it's playing out to a T. Now, it seemed like it was playing out to a T definitely during the Cold War. But if you look at what Major Golitsyn said, the Cold War really has not changed. Major Golitsyn, ex-KGB Major Golitsyn, said the Soviet Union was planned to be dissolved, and it was by befriending the West, they would get more technology and actually develop more high-tech weapons in secret and allow the conventional forces to go to disarray and build them up later on as they get more technology from the West by being friends, because they get far more technology from the West than they do by spying on the West. I mean, this stuff with Snowden is almost ludicrous because, first off, you got espionage where there's spying by governments on people, and there's espionage where there's spies that are trying to get secrets. But what happens? Major companies give all the best technology to China, for instance. They don't even have to spy. They just give it free. Here you go. Actually even Clinton did this stuff for campaign contributions. If you recall those scandals way back when. Campaign money for missile technology, basically, in a nutshell. But the thing is, the predictions of Fatima aligned with the predictions of, when you're reaffirmed by the predictions of Major Golitsyn, point towards there's going to be a financial collapse in the West. And Major Golitsyn also states that the Western elite they don't even know what they're dealing with when they're dealing with Russia. They don't even know what they're dealing with. In other words, they think they got to figure it out. They don't. I suspect that the real elitist, you talk about the Rothschilds and shit. I kind of doubt they're the elitists. They're the puppets of the elitists. I think the real elitists are basically in the military. The more in the military, high up, and that is where they're connected with, underground cities. And when you're talking about with the Russians, a lot of the oligarchy, and stuff like that, will survive any type of nuclear holocaust that may come up in the future. I think this is going to come up. It's going to come up. It's not going to come up next year. It's not going to come up this year. The big warning sign is going to be when there is a real financial collapse in the West, if that happens. If there really is something really bad, so I'm thinking about a few years from now, it's going to be step 2. But I think we're really what would short circuit the whole game plan where the global elite take over, because they're basically doing it through communist countries. Communist countries were set up by the Western global elite, one way or the other. It's like you think this policy of all the factories and technology moving over to China was just over money. Hell no. Hell no. Just want to spell that out to you, because there's a lot more involved than that. So actually, the way to actually, there's nothing you can really do about some of these policies unless a lot of individuals take action, but, in a small way, and buy only products from their local country. Like if you're in Australia, I'll buy goods from Australia, UK, and Canada, and Japan. I like Japan. And South Korea, but I don't want to buy goods from China, not because I have something against the Chinese people, but I realize that government is one of the ones that is on the forefront of pushing for global domination, and they're all in cahoots with the Western elite. So but actually, there was a major political movement to get a very, in light of this discovery of the Arckaringa Basin oil, all the oil that's in that exceeds Saudi Arabia, that's in Australia now. Australia should be a major nuclear power. I really think they should be built up a lot. I really do. And if the United States is always looking to sell to somebody all the freaking defense, all the weaponry and all the technology and all this kind of stuff, it should go to Australia, not China. You know what I mean? It's not that I'm against the Chinese people. Chinese people got a great culture. They got a lot of cool stuff that I really like learning about, especially with healing and medicines, and a lot of different things on how to make things. To even some of the engineering and construction methods are outstanding, but they have an elitist system that's been installed, in cahoots with our Western elite, that is going to be a driving force towards global domination. That's a problem. That's a major problem. So nobody's actually saying this, but Australia should be built up as a major nuclear power, because I can see what's coming up, man. It ain't pretty, man. I mean, the only way you're going to stop this bullshit, I guess, is if you have a revolution in China against the regime. The people, but they can't. The people aren't armed, or maybe there's the Russians are able to investigate the corruption that's going on in their own government and oust all the garbage that's going on over there, which is Putin's a big kingpin involved. People still don't believe that, but he is. He's a major kingpin involved in all that stuff, and it'll change, but I don't think it is going to change. So, as an American, the only thing I could think of is to arm the hell out of Australia. I tell you what, I think Australians, man, if they had a bunch of 50 cals over there and they had a major nuclear arsenal, China would say, we ain't invading that place. And with all the oil they got, they wouldn't have to worry about nothing, no matter what happened in the world. Because I always considered Australia as an extremely important and ally to the United States. Big time. So, I don't know. Obama, he's a traitor. That's all I got to leave you with.